Hello and welcome to this sessions. So far what we have seen that we built a automations pipeline. So this is our GitHub repository where we have the applications. So we have two server. We both of them created on EC2 machine, and one we have with the Jenkins where we installed Java and do the environment variable setups. Then we installed Maven there, and we integrated the Tomcat server with the Jenkins. And when we do any modifications or we push a code to the GitHub, we have a cron job setup, and so that Jenkins keep on monitoring every minutes for the changes, and when there is any changes identified, the job run automatically, and the var file, which is the artifacts of the Java applications, it's going to place Jenkins pipeline place that artifacts to the Tomcat server, and when we access the Tomcat URL, we will find that the Tomcat and the application is running on the Tomcat server very nicely. So all the changes reflect whatever we did the changes and push the code to the GitHub. It's reflecting perfectly fine on the Tomcat server. So this is the automations pipeline we already established. So if you didn't refer my videos, you can refer last all the 6 video to have a better understanding. So in this particular sessions, what we are trying to execute, we are creating or you can say we are installing a Docker on Amazon Linux server, so that what we did the Tomcat installations on the separate EC2 machine. Now we are going to install the Tomcat as a container to the Docker. So in this particular sessions, we are going to see how we can install and the Docker on Amazon Linux server, and how we can fetch or do a setup of the Tomcat server on the container, not on the EC2 instance. So this Tomcat server we will going to remove, because now we are not going to use it, and we are mainly concerned to establish the automations pipeline with the Docker. And after that, we will install the Ansible, which will create an image. Jenkins will write a Docker file, and then the Ansible will create image on the basis of Docker file, and then it will push to the GitHub. On the Docker Hub, where we place that particular image. After that, the Ansible will invoke the Kubernetes for the installation. So we have some different machines we are going to install for the Kubernetes. So Ansible playbook will create a Docker file, place into the Docker Hub, and then from the Docker Hub we have the image reference in the Kubernetes deployment YAML file, which will fetch the image from the remote locations, because we are going to do all the things in a public way. So there is no credential required. We place our image not as a private to the image repository site, which is the Docker Hub, and in this way we will try to build a CI/CD automations pipeline from Jenkins to the Ansible, and then to Kubernetes cluster. So in this particular sessions, we are going to install the Docker on the Amazon Linux. For this, we have to create an instance first. So I'm going for the free tier only, and we are going to select it in the same way what we have done it for the Tomcat and the Jenkins server. So let's add the storage. So all the things looks good. We are going to add a tag. For the tag, we are putting here as name, and we can see it at the Tomcat or Docker host. Okay, that's it. So for the configurations, I'm using the security groups. I'm using the existing one, which is 80 because I'm going to install the tomcat on the Docker server. So review and launch. And go to the previous step. We have the existing. Okay, we selected it. Review and launch the instance. Okay, you don't. If you don't have the key pair, you can create it by selecting this option. Create a new key pair. If you have the existing one, you can select it. I have the existing one. I'm using the same one. Okay, so this is the third machines. So I'm mainly concerned on this particular machines. So it's going to be running very soon. It's currently pending. Okay, so now it's running. I'm just copy the IP of the public IP of this particular machine, Docker host. Okay, now I am using the mobile extreme. Just try to establish a new connections. Advance. Use the private key, the same PAN key. And for the user, you just need to insert EC2 user. Okay, okay, perfectly fine. So let me zoom it so that we have a clear picture. Okay, so now sudo su as a root user. Okay, so it's taking time. Okay, let me change the host name as well to Docker host, and I have to re-log in again with the sudo su as a root user. So you can see that the now IP is removed with the name, so that we have an understanding that this is the system of the Docker. And now I am going to install the Docker. So command is yum install Docker. Yes. So here you see that now the Docker is installed properly. So it's currently installed the Docker community editions. So just check it by docker ps command, which will display any running container, but it says that the Docker daemon is not running. Let's verify it. Service Docker status. So you can see that it's active. It is currently inactive in the dead position. So I have to restart it. So I'm going to write a command. Just I need to change strt start. So now it's started. Now I'm going to see the status. Now you can see that it's currently running. So Docker setup has been done in the EC2 instance. Now I'm going to run the Docker PS again. So you can see that, let me clear the picture, clear the screen. So again, I am going to write to the Docker PS. So you can see that we don't have any container because this is the fresh setup, and that's why we don't have any container. So how can we create a container? The container is created by the image. And how the image will be created? It's created by the Docker file. So either we are going to write a Docker file to build an image, then we after from that particular image we create a container, or we can use the Docker Hub. So I'm going to fetch the image. So just I'm going to add Docker Hub here. and we have the hub.docker. So this is the, you can say, the repository of all the images. So I'm going to write here the tomcat. Okay, so this is the official image of the tomcat, and you should be very familiar with the using how to use the image, how which image to pull, because it is a recommended approach to fetch only on officials image, because in that case you are at the safer side. Otherwise, if you use some unofficial image, they may inject some malware into your containers. So always prefer to use the official image. It will be very uh, beneficial for you guys. And the Docker Hub is a, you can say, the public repository, also a private repository also. Industry prefer to keep their image in the private mode, not in the public mode. But these types of image is always in the public, in the public mode, not in the private. It's managed by the industry, so that all the people can use it by fetching. So you can use the this command docker pull tomcat, and if you don't provide any tag, it will fetch the latest one. So if you want to refer the tags, you can click here, and you can find accordingly, like if you want to see the tomcat 80, so you have the this all are the officials, and it's saying how you can fetch the Docker. So this is the 8.0 version of the Tomcat. So you can write a command like docker pull tomcat colon 8.0. If you don't provide the tag, it will fetch the latest one. So I'm going to use the latest one and then see the impact. After that, we will change the image accordingly. So now we are going to use the Tomcat image file to pull the images. So here we are going to write docker image ls, just to check that do we have any images. As we did a fresh setup, we don't have any container, we don't have any image. So our first target is to pull the tomcat image. Docker pull tomcat, and if you it's not required, but you can provide the latest. So it will start pulling the images, the latest images from the Docker Hub. As per the connections speed, it will be fast, or it will might be too slow for you. So because the particular image size may have the may have 650 megabyte approximately. So you can see that it's already downloaded. So I am executing the same command again. Docker image ls. So you can find that we have one image available. Now I'm going to create a container that you can say that we have the image. That image we pull from the Docker Hub, and now we are going to create a container, which you can say that this is the Tomcat server, but inside the container, not in the EC2 instance. So in the EC2 instance, we installed the Docker, and now we fetch the images from the Tomcat, and from this Tomcat, we are going to create a container. So for this, I'm going to write some command. So how we can use this particular image to create a container. Docker and run command. We have to use the run command. I am using the detach mode so that it will run behind the scene, and just to provide some number that the container has been created. The container name, the name we have to provide. It's tomcat, and I'm providing the C for the container. And the port that we are going to use is 8080 because tomcat listens on this port, and this is the container. Okay, so the image that I'm going to use is tomcat. So you can see that the container is now created. If you execute the command docker ps, you can find that one particular container is running. This is the container ID and the image that we used. And this is the command that we have written in the Docker file. And it's created 7 seconds. I have the status. You can see that we successfully created Tomcat. On the Docker we created a container for the Tomcat. So now I'm going to access this using the web URL. So I have to fetch the public IP, and it's listening on port 8080. So I'm going to use it. Okay, so now we are going, we are having the problem that the status, it's not able to find the default applications at the particular locations because I am using the Tomcat latest one. And this particular in the latest release of the Tomcat, they move the default applications to any other places. So we are going to monitor it. So we need to log in into the container with the bash. Bash is nothing but the shell command. So docker execute it tomcat c bin bash. So I'm inside the container, and you can see that it's currently in the user local tomcats. You can identify this, verify this as the using the executing the command pwt. So it will say tell you about the exact path. Let's clear the screen. Currently you are in the container. So ls. So you can see that you have the one web apps folder, which we have seen in when we set up a Tomcat on the Ec2 machine. We have seen that all the default applications we have in the web.apps folder, but in the latest release of the Tomcat, what the Tomcat did, it's moved all the default application into this folder. That's why we are getting this particular error, this one, because it's not able to identify the applications because this particular folder is currently empty. Let's verify it. So I'm going to move into the directory web apps. So cd web apps ls. So you can see that this particular folder where previously Tomcat keeps the default applications is now blank. So what we are going to do, we are going to check the this particular folder as well where we have the applications. So I'm going back, and now I'm going to web apps dot dist, and where I'm doing ls, and here we have the default applications. So what the Tomcat web applications is doing, it's looking for into this particular location. That's why it's not able to find the applications, because now the applications the Tomcat keep here. So we have to move all the files. You can say that we are going to not the move, we are copying all the content from this folder to this folder, and then I think the applications will run smoothly. So let's do it. So I'm using the cp command, then recursively we are going to move all the files where into the web apps. So this will copy all the contents. Now cd dot just going to the web apps folder to see check the contents. So you can see that I successfully moved the contents, not move, copy the content from this folder to this folder. Now this folder also have the default applications, and this folder also have the default applications. So now I'm going to just refresh this page. So you can see that now it's working fine, because where it's the looking for the default applications, now the default applications is available at that path. Okay, so this is the first thing. Now what I am going to do, I am going to use the tomcat version 8.0, not the latest one, so that you can see that where we have the default applications placed. So in the further we are going to remove this container which we created on the basis of latest, because it's might have some different functionality, because you can see that it's because I'm going to use my applications, not the default one. So we are going to use the tomcat 8. This I did a demo on the latest also, and now we are going to use the tomcat 8.0 for our CI/CD pipeline. So coming out from this particular container. You have to press the Control D to come out, and now I'm going to pull the tomcat 8.0 for this. Docker pull tomcat 8.0. So it will fetch the image of tomcat 8 version that you're going to use further. So if you check, let's clear the screen. Docker image ls, sorry, image. So here we have the two images, the latest one from which we created a container, and now that we have the 8.0. So I'm going to create a container, but this particular container is also running on the 8080, and we have to use some different port for this, because we don't have any two containers on the same port. So docker run d for the detach, the name will be tomcat, c we are using for the container, and the tag is 8. This is the container name, so that we can identify it easily. And for the port 8081, this port must be open at the security level, so we need to verify this as well. And it's exposing onto 8081, and internally by default we have 8080. So this is the internal port, and we are going to use the image tomcat with the proper tag. Okay, if you don't provide the tag here, then it will pick the latest one, so be very carefully on this. Now docker ps, so you can see that we have the two container. One is running with the image of tag 8.0, and other one is the latest, but the 8.0 is running 8081. So let's try it again with the port 8081 and see the impact. Now I'm copying it and going to open in the other tag, and here we are going to use 81. So you can see that it's not, the page is not getting rendered. So what do you think? What will be the problem? if you listen very carefully, I already mentioned this, because this particular port is currently not allowed at the EC2 instance. If you look into the EC2 instance for the Docker host, let's go to the securities, and here we have the security groups. I'm only allowing port 8080, not 8081. So I'm going to edit it, adding one more rule for 8081. Sorry, 8081, yes, this one. Okay, and so for time being, I'm using the for all anywhere, and add the rules and save it. So let's verify it as well. So we have it's listening on 8081 also. So now refresh it. So you can see both of our Tomcat is running on the Docker container. This one is the on the latest, and this one is on the using the Tomcat 8.0. So why it's this particular Tomcat we are able to access, because the default applications is at the appropriate locations, and for the Tomcat which we use for the latest don't have the default applications initially at the default position location. So we changed it. We will move all the applications file from the other folders to the main folder, and that then after that it's able to run. So we demonstrated the two things, that we use the two images of the Tomcat and see the difficulties, and try to run Tomcat applications on the Docker containers. So in the next sessions, we will further going to use the Tomcat 8, and further we will explore more that how we can integrate the Docker host with the Jenkins server, so that the Jenkins will able to copy the var file, which is the artifacts applications which is fetching from the Git repository to the Docker host, and from Docker host it can able to copy it into the Docker container, so that we can establish a CI/CD pipeline using the Docker as well. So whenever we do a changes on the Git, Jenkins will monitor, keep on monitoring every minutes, and it will move the var file to the Docker container, and in the default folder, so we can access our applications and see that impact. After that, we will install the Ansible, and Ansible will create an image and put it into the Docker Hub, and then invoke the deployment to execute and do the deployment into the Kubernetes cluster. So there are lots of plans, lots of sessions. So keep watching my videos, and I will soon going to release another video on this particular new activity of the CI/CD automations. So keep watching, keep learning. If you like my video, please subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. Thank you.